Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. I literally had no idea that I was going to do this video. I know I say that a lot, but I actually, even 30 minutes ago, had already decided that I wasn't going to do a video. But I have 2 hours to kill this morning, and this book came in like a day or two ago. People, it was weird. The news traveled fast once it was announced. But yeah, I'm working on Masters of the Universe with Dan Fraga, and Dan is working in a few different styles for this book. It's I'm not going to go into spoilers for the comic itself, but yeah. So we started communicating through emails. I've known Dan for a while, and he's really cool guy. And so some of the inking styles that he wants to use on the project are in here. And he recommended that I get this book. So I went on eBay and looked for it, and it was a little harder to find than I thought, at least for a good price. And I have another one coming. And yeah, some of these, because they've been out of print for a while, are actually kind of expensive and a little tricky to find. I mean, they're definitely out there, but not always at good prices. But anyway, so in particular, what we're going to look at today is the Arthur Adams story in here. But there's also Barry Windsor Smith, Walter Simonson, John Romita Jr., Rick Leonardi, like a really good Rick Leonardi story. This is a badass book, and I have not actually looked at it. I flipped through it really quick just to see what was in it. But like, I mean, here's John Romita Jr. with Dan Green inks. But we're going to scoot ahead to the Arthur Adams first, because that was what in particular I was recommended to start to bone up on. And the one thing that I noticed in this book in particular is it actually looks pretty good. Like, I'm wondering, look at how crazy this art is. It's so kick-ass. How they actually did this. I don't know about the old processing. This is a little sketchy. But so look, you can take color files that are flat, meaning however everything was put together, and you can remove the color. You can turn a grayscale. You can start isolating gray. And you can pull out a lot of color, but it's not a seamless process. But this stuff looked to me to, at the very least, be just the black and white files. Now, this isn't like an artist edition where it's RGB files of black and white, meaning full color scans of black and white. But this stuff was actually quite good. And these videos will actually be this video in particular will be helpful for me because the zoom capabilities, like this is going to be in 1080p on YouTube, and I can actually even sort of study from this. But you can see how this isn't exactly how people traditionally ink now. This is more gritty. It's quite detailed. I hate to use the word like a lack of finesse to it, but it's just a different style. So Terry Austin did the inks list, and Terry is a great inker. There's no two ways about it. But it just, you know, there was a point where I think inks got slicker. Man, this is so cool. I have to keep auto-focusing because the detail is so small, but and what's cool about this too is I can't stand when people flip stuff like mirror image shit. To me, it's so lazy, and it's just like, yeah, I know you have Photoshop or you have Clip Studio Paint. You can like mirror this on the other side. But I mean, I look for it immediately when I see stuff like that, and if I see that it's mirrored, I mean, I'm already sort of subtracting mental points for cool factor. I think it really pulls me out of the moment, and so kudos to Mr. Arthur Adams for actually drawing two completely different things. I mean, this is way before Photoshop and Clip Studio, but and he may have, in some way, shape, or form, actually kind of mirrored the initial sort of structure, but even the swords are at different angles if you look. I like that. I like that they're different, and nowadays you'd have this would just be here, flipped. Boo. You get a F minus for that move. This is my opinion. This is great. Stuff was so influential to so many artists, because I mean, art just was like, he's nuts. He's still nuts. That's the thing. He's been doing this now for like 40 years. Literally. But yeah, so if we zoom in here, I mean, look at even these lines here. Do you see how organic they are? Like, look at this. nothing is really fancy or slick. The thing that I do with my lines is my lines are all pretty accurate, and when I throw them, there's no waver to them. I mean, I'll zoom in a little bit. This isn't an inking lesson, but just as an example. But like even this little line right here, do you see how it's like it kind of curves? And this one isn't the same as that, and this one is like, this is not easy to do if you don't draw like this. They're almost like drawn lines where it's like you take it and you just kind of draw it, draw it, you draw it, you draw it. And it just gives a different flavor, and you add that up over this many lines, and the work has a completely different flavor. And even if I drift in and out of half of my lines are this organic sort of quality, and the other half go to my sort of default, which is really accurately thrown lines. Like even up in here, do you see this? I just avoid, like, do you see those two lines connect, and they're kind of like, it's not like they're all symmetrical and all going to a fade. I just have conditioned myself not to do stuff like that because I have the control to do it, but it loses the look. The accumulation of accurately thrown lines actually it detracts from the overall quality of it. So something that I need to work on, and I'm still working on, but it's a style that I've always been interested in. McFarlane has this sort of look to his stuff. It's generally pencilers that ink themselves that ultimately end up with this look. It's an interesting thing. Art has actually refined his inks over the years and actually does kind of more of an inkery job now, if that makes sense. And this is Austin, who Austin is actually an inker. It says, did it say embellishes? Let me see what it said. Embellisher. So he may have at times during this book, I don't think across the board, had been doing like somewhat finishes, or art might have gotten a little under the gun, and so they gave Austin some embellishes. It'd be hard to say. It will only be speculation on my part, so I'm not going to try to guess. But yeah, so some of the work that we're doing looks quite a bit like this, and it's really, really fun. It's really fun to do, and working on Masters of the Universe, man, I've never had more lip service for a job so quickly. I mean, I barely even dipped my toes in it. And I had so many like tagged posts and people following me on Twitter and all kinds of weird things. Like, I mean, it really was like, and again, it's hard. The information's hardly out there, but man, this is so cool. But it's nice. But Dan is inking himself. I mean, a lot of the work he did ink himself. I only did 7 pages in the first book, and I'm going to try to do more in the second one, but I'm also working on some other stuff, so my time is a little divided. But I want to do as much as possible because I really enjoy it, and working with Dan is actually, it's fun and a very positive and inspiring collaboration, because we're pushing each other, you know. It's there's a level of commitment to it that makes it you know, a challenge, you know, not settling for it's kind of there, you know, we want it there. So, but with that, it can be uncomfortable, you know. Sometimes you get feedback and it's like, hey, this didn't really work, and you're like, oh shit, because you knew it too, but you're hoping you get away with it. But that's when you have to have thick skin when you work in comics. Because, I mean, it goes across the board with anything. Move a little faster so we start seeing it. But, yeah, I mean, you can't, like, I criticism and compliments all sort of just, it's like, it's just a hum in the background. And you have to really sort of focus on what you're up to. It doesn't matter. Man, this is crazy. It's an interesting style. Like I actually went and made about 50 photocopies of stuff that I found online that were decent enough scans of this type of stuff from this era to study, and I printed them out. And I don't normally do that for a job, but this is compelling enough to me and a fun enough puzzle to try to crack that it was worth it. Because I've always wanted to be able to I think McFarlane is a good example. His line is so crude, but it works. It's a weird thing. But, like, yeah, it's not easy to do. It really isn't. I had a friend who went from pretty tight, slick work to trying to work in a more, this was before Jock, pre-Jock, but kind of that direction. And fans and stuff like that didn't really react to it. It had the transition from sort of the image look to that look hadn't really happened yet. This is like probably right when Brian Hitch started to get big on like The Authority, and he was getting work, but he goes, man, fans don't understand how hard it is to do this style, to do real gritty and actually make it work. And I'm like, no, I know, because I've tried it too, and it's not as simple as it seems, but it's a commitment that you make. He ultimately ended up leaving comics too, which is kind of funny. Not funny, but just shows that like the fan base just really wasn't there for it at the time. And Jock is doing real well for himself. Jock has got a great vision though, and he's good at iconography, meaning pieces that he does are pretty memorable, and that helps. You have to have that. It's one thing to be really good, but if nothing that you do really, you want to have a lot of memories, meaning, oh yeah, you did that Thor piece and it was so kick-ass, and then you did this piece, and then you did this piece, and it's like, they're all like really iconic. That's when you're doing the right thing. You want people to have the opportunity to have lots of favorites. God, this stuff is great. Just look at these pages. I'm going to pull back just a little bit so you can see how nice this is. Look at that ornamentation on her. Isn't that incredible? So we're already 12 minutes into this video. I'm going to stop it at just around 20 minutes, though, because I don't want to have to edit this. But we can always come back to this book. There's a bazillion really, really good things. So I guess this will be a focus on Art Adams. I didn't know that going into it. In fact, as I said, I didn't even know I was going to do a video. But I hate to neglect YouTube. I've been really active on Patreon. I've said that before, but I've been uploading about 5 videos a week on Patreon. I'm doing a drawing series for pencilers, and then also yesterday I did The Art of Into the Spider-Verse. I picked up that book. It's really, really good. So again, I'll have a link for Patreon for people interested. I don't really I don't generally promote it on Super Fun Sundays. Let's pull on this face a little bit. Even like, look at this hair. Like, if I inked hair like that, I would kind of feel like I did it wrong. It's just like those kind of heavier lines towards the bottom, like this. So I grab the pencil, but like, look at the weight of these lines, and then look at these. But that's the look, and it works really, really well. It actually is a totally legit approach. And they're pretty deadweight lines, too. You know what I mean? There's no thin or thick to them. Her hand is crazy. Look at her arm. The rendering on the arm. This is a nice shot. Yeah, this is a nice book. Like I said, I'm really, really impressed by how good these black and whites look. I really wasn't expecting, I guess you'd say, especially for a newsprint reproduction, this level of quality. So it is actually really good. I'm going to try to turn that off. this comic, I'm nearly sure. But it's fun seeing it in black and white. Oh man, look at that. The way that he does the arm hair. Oh man, so that's a wolf? So this guy's like giant. Alright. Wasn't really following the story. This is kind of like taking each image as its own thing. Oh, that's cool. Man, this stuff is so detailed. Kind of went in a weird way. I went sort of backwards through these two pages. I saw the wolf and I wanted to see it. Oh my god, like look at this. I love this character too. What was funny is because you remember the other video I had, like a Rob Liefeld page that I had ripped out of a comic book that was like a team shot. Honestly, I think the reason I saved it is I've always been fascinated by this character and like how different people draw it. Yeah, it's really wild. I don't even know the character's name, honestly. I never really read these books, so. Right now people are going like, what the fuck? You don't know that character's name? I don't know most of these characters' names. I'm a comic art fan more than the stories, so it's why I don't really like worry about like if a book goes a direction that I don't like. I don't really care. So if the art's good, that's really more what I'm more than what I'm interested in. It makes it way less dramatic. But I like storytellers, though. I mean, I have to say that I find it funner to see an artist that's willing to do panel-to-panel work than just sticks with covers all the time. I think to be a really great cover artist, you have to be delivering like a pretty good variety of shots and stuff like that. And most of them, if they end up getting into that lane, you know, I don't know, there's a few that mix it up pretty good, but most, it starts to get a little repetitive, I think. That's nice. Alright, so we're at 17 minutes. Wow, this one story took a long time. There's some really good stuff in here. I actually, when I opened it up, I saw some Barry Windsor Smith stuff that I was like, oh man. It was actually like good Barry Windsor Smith era work, and the Rick Leonardi, it's this one issue in particular is really good. Like, it has a Michael Golden feel to me that I really like. And we touched on Michael Golden. These guys are all kind of from a similar family. I mean, I definitely would say that Art Adams was a big fan of Michael Golden. And I'm sure it went both ways. I can't imagine that Golden, seeing Arthur Adams bubble up in the mid-'80s, wasn't like pretty impressed by what Art was up to, because he's definitely a very special comic book artist. His level of commitment to these illustrations is just phenomenal. And what's funny is because that actually has a little bit of like a Barry Windsor Smith Red Nails kind of vibe. So it wouldn't even surprise me if maybe Art kind of maybe liked a little bit of the Barry Windsor Smith stuff. It's like everyone was mixing and matching. I'd be curious when Art got into Robert Crumb. If maybe they just had similar styles and then he kind of put it together. So I think there was definitely a point where Arthur realized the power of Robert Crumb and got into it at a deeper level. But even here I see like little bits of Crumb, but it could be more incidental. I mean, this stuff doesn't look like Robert Crumb, just to be clear, but I'm just saying that, like, I think that that's definitely an influence on Arthur's work later in his career, even post Monkey Man and O'Brien, and like when he did The Authority. Like I'm talking like after that, I think that at some point he had a greater appreciation for Robert Crumb's work. Man, this is a long story. This is really cool. I mean, yeah, that's great. If you haven't seen this story before, you are in for a treat. Get that. Man, every panel is just packed. So Arthur, he got so good at doing stuff like this later. This is really good here, but it just got better and better. It's nice. It looks like Bluto from Popeye. Wow, look at that. Whoa, that is a great panel. Man, these pages are great. What a story, man. That's a nice shot. Oh, okay, we're at 21 minutes. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll end it on this page because I don't, like I said, I don't want to edit this thing. So, all right, have a great day. Have a super fun Sunday, and I don't know when I'm going to be back. I'm really busy. I have a lot of work to do right now, and I'm kind of mainly focused on that. So we'll see. All right, talk to you all later. Bye. Wolf. Oh.